Real good. Thanks for coming out this morning. Obviously, always an exciting time when we select a team for a World Cup, and I guess it's my role now to read out the team in alphabetical order. Aaron Baines, Andrew Bogut, Jonah Bolden, Xavier Cooks, Matthew Cam Glidden, Chris Goulding, Joe Ingles, Nick Kay, Jock, Landale, just as well you're on the team, otherwise this would be really embarrassing, wouldn't it? Yeah. Paddy Mills and Nathan Sobey. So they're the 12 players who will be representing Australia at the 2019 FIBA World Cup. An exciting group. I think excited by the mixture of experience, like veteran leadership that we have, and a group of guys who have been through international events previously, Olympic Games and World Cups, and there's a real synergy with that group. But we've added a nice mixture of young guys around them as well, and that's, for me, really exciting. And it's always interesting when you get in this sort of situation, and particularly, I guess, the gap between events this year, or senior events, between the last Olympic campaign and now this World Cup is 3 years, and so a lot happens over that time in terms of player development, and some of the guys, because of their commitments overseas, that we hadn't seen in World Cup qualification phase, and this was our first experience with quite a few players. And you come in, I guess, to the selection camp with an idea of how you think it might play out, but there's always really, really pleasant surprises, and that's the exciting part. The flip of it is, as a coach, the worst thing I find in this role, the hardest part, is sitting down with a player who's just given everything they've got and bleeds green and gold, and you have to tell them, I'm sorry, but you've missed selection for the team, and that's heartbreaking. And I think what makes it particularly difficult is the fact that we have a tremendous depth of talent in Australia, and so often the communication to players who have missed is, I don't have a lot for you. I just had to make a decision. You're a really good player, but we have lots of good players, and the reality is it's not an all-star team. It's a group of skill sets that we're trying to fit together that all combine for the best outcome of the group, and their decisions are made as well. So really tough conversations in that environment, but some wonderful reactions as well. And I think we're just so fortunate to have players who are so just committed to the green and gold, love playing for their country, are proud, not only proud Australians, but proud to represent Australian basketball on the world stage. And you can feel the spirit in the group. They want to go and do something special. I think there's certainly unfinished business from Rio. We haven't medalled yet at a international event in the men's game, and so there's certainly a mission to get that done.
Andrej, how did you sort of see at the end not picking Landale and Mitch Creek and having guys like Cooks, Sobey, how did you sort of come to that decision?
Yeah, and again, like I say, tough, right? It's not an all-star team, it's how you put the skill sets together, and really excited by Dang. He's got a tremendous future, and he's just at this stage, I guess, we're still looking for a little bit more experience for him at the highest level, and also behind the eight ball in terms of first touch point with the program and familiarity with just offensive and defensive sort of structures and how we play. But it's exciting to get him in. I think he's got a tremendous future with the group, and look forward to working with him in future campaigns. And Creaky that's talk about those tough conversations. That was as heartbreaking as any of them, for the road and journey that we've been through with Creaky, and his commitment even through the World Cup qualification process. It was really tough decision, but at the end of the day, again, I guess just for the skill sets we were looking for and the way he was going to play in this group was in that 3 spot, and I guess we just made decisions that other guys might help us a little bit more in a way that we would benefit the team. But really, as I say, often good players miss out, and that's the way that it is. And excited for Zave, and I think he was one of those ones that we spoke to as just a beautiful surprise success story. You come in and you have some expectations, and I know Zave, and this is the beautiful part of the rewarding part of being in this sport. And people often ask, what are your great moments? And expect you to say, winning a championship or attending Olympics, and they're awesome. But for me, it's moments like Zave. Like, I was there when he came into the Centre of Excellence as a guy who kind of no one really thought would be much of a player, And so you get him in and you give him an opportunity and work with him, and he puts the work in, and just every day chips away, goes over to college, gets into Europe and starts to flourish, and there it comes full circle where it's like, mate, like, you've really, really improved. And it's one of the ones, again, because we've been away from him for so long. We knew he was doing well in Europe, but how does that translate, when you see people up close and on court and get the ability to coach them and see how they impact the game? And all of us as a coaching staff are like, wow, like Zave's damn good. He helps us in it's just his length, his ability to defend, and we certainly want to play both sides of the ball. That's something that's really important to us, and his ability to help us there and a rebound and push it, and he knocks down corner threes, and it's just, I think he's just got some versatility and size and length that's really going to be an asset to the team. So I was just about to say he plays hard, but everyone on the Boomers plays hard, so that's not a separating factor.
And going with Glidden, was that just you wanted the extra ball handler as opposed to, say, a Creek or an Andrej who brings that athleticism sort of?
And shooting, I guess, too. It was it's in a strange way. Maybe Glids was playing all of us. He came in with a bit of a hamstring injury, and so he missed practice the first 2 days, and he was actually like it was eating him up inside because he thought he'd missed his opportunity. But then he came in day 3 and 4 and went whack, 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 and it was a perfect example of exactly what we wanted from that role. It's, you got a spot there that you might sit, not play game 1, game 2, and game 3. You need to come out and be able to put the ball in the basket when we need it, and he showed that he could do exactly that. It was it was a pretty easy choice after that.
AK and Modem was always going to be one of the absolutely impossible ones. In the end, what split the two of those?
Yeah, again, good play. As you say, both of them bring a skill set and attributes that would be advantageous to the group. And Brock certainly can score the ball. That's the skill set that he brings. But I guess we felt that we just need a little bit more support at the defensive end in that position. And Nick, as we know, is like a tremendous player, and he's just his knowledge of the system, and as a result of his ability, his basketball IQ and ability to manipulate, I guess, the offense for the advantage of his teammates, not for himself, but he sees things and flashes to the right spot and makes the right pass, and does a really nice job. Cuts where he's supposed to cut to in a manner that gets other people open. And then on the defensive end, if you had perhaps a model of what Andrej Lemanis likes in his 4 spot for a disruptive defender, like you put Nick Kay, there, in the dictionary there's the picture of Nick Kay next to it, because his ability to be up the floor and read when you go, perhaps hit the ball, when to leave it, when appropriate times to double on an on-ball screen, all that stuff. He's on point and on money, and I think that's ultimately where we went, we need that.
Jock, what was it like, and how did they break the news to you? Did they play a call with you? Did they get the frown going? What did they do?
No, it was a pretty sweet experience. I mean, the whole week, as Dre's kind of alluded to, was super competitive, and you never really knew if you were safe or not. I think that's something that the boys really brought to the table, was any single group was winning on the day. There was never like a consistent group of guys like they were out there winning. So it could have gone one of 100 ways, to be honest with you. But when these guys broke the news to me, it was pretty special. I don't know if I'm meant to say how you actually broke it, but
that's fine.
I found out like 24 hours before everyone else, just because they were thinking about not playing me in the last day of practice, because they obviously had some really tough decisions to make. So I was actually with one of my mates, and Luke came by the room and just told me, look, we're going to take you, and I was pretty emotional. I had a bit of a teary after Luke left, because I got to look tough around the coaches, but it was good. It's a special thing, man, especially just even when I saw my name in the squad, it was a special deal. So then to be named in the actual World Cup team and be going to chance to compete for a medal, and I think we all believe that we have a really good chance, it's unbelievable, and I think everyone else would say the exact same thing.
Jock, why was it so emotional for you? Is it because you sort of dreamed of representing Australia for a long time, or you weren't expecting to come to the squad?
I don't know. I never really had expectations coming in, to be honest with you, but it's been something that's kind of always been in the back of my mind as my most important goal is to try and make an Olympics one day, and I think the World Cup is it's on par with that, and it's just a chance to represent Australia. And I had a pretty tough year out in Serbia, and I wasn't sure where I stood in this whole deal, because I know that we have a lot of very talented big men, and they're veterans like Bainesy and Bogut are serious veterans, and then there's Jonah Bolden, who's in the NBA, and I just didn't really understand where I stood amongst it all. So to come out and practice like we did, and to feel really comfortable amongst the system, and feel as though I was competing really well out there and competing for a spot was good. So it just meant all the more for me, and even my family and stuff, when they found out, it was tears straight away from Mum. So it's just kind of something in my family that we've always really dreamed of being able to do, and it's as much of an achievement for me as it is for them. They've been part of my journey, and I'm super appreciative for everything they've done. So just knowing that I have all that support system behind me that's kind of been looking out for me from day one, and is really trying to push me as far as I can go. It's when you finally achieve something, you can have that emotional moment for like a minute, and then it's like, right, what are we doing next? Let's try and win a medal. So I was super thrilled to make it, and that's all. I can't really put it into words, to be honest with you, but it's just something that everyone dreams of, being basketball.
I know there's plenty of hype around the squad. Where do you think it matches up historically between other teams, and where should expectations be regarding medaling in China?
Yeah, and I get asked this sort of question, I guess every time there's a squad named, and I don't like to compare across teams or campaigns. I think that's not useful, or something that you can even really do. Again, if you, I guess, base it on players with NBA championship rings and guys playing quality minutes in the NBA, it's perhaps as good a team as we've ever had from that perspective. But I know as a group, and in terms of what our expectations are of ourselves, is that we're going there to win a gold medal. Like, that's purely and simply our goal. I think there's a focus on that. There's a drive behind it, and there's a belief that that's something that we can go and get done. In terms of expectation, that's the expectation we have on ourselves.
With Bogut, 5 NBL guys, and I think people always talk about the rising standard and that gap closing between basketball here and overseas. Obviously, those guys fit in. What did you see from the NBL guys during the camp?
Yeah, and it is, I think, a reflection of just where the NBL is right now, and I think it also reflects, and perhaps this is an appropriate time to acknowledge the efforts of all the guys who went through the World Cup qualification process that enables us to be here today and gives us this opportunity to compete in the World Cup. There's a lot of players who put in a lot of effort, sacrificed, came in and did, played the right way, played for their country, conducted themselves immaculately as Boomers and represented their country, in spectacular fashion. That he didn't even get a chance to come to the selection camp. That's how deep our talent pool is. And then there's also guys who came to selection camp who went through that process who have now missed out. But again, they, to a man, makes them special when they say playing in the green and gold was still the best thing that I did. So they're all really thankful and grateful for the opportunities that they get, and they're just so, I'm humbled, always humbled to be around them. It's just, it's a privilege. And so I think the way for the guys who are in the NBL that have now made it into this team, again, great reward for them for the effort that they've put in along the way and to get us to this point, but also, the individual development that they've had along the way, all their coaches, everybody who supported them along the way. But it does reflect, the standard competition in the NBL is damn good, and it's interesting when you get around to, I was in Vegas for the Summer League, and you can just feel it in the stands, just the respect that the NBL is getting now from just the basketball world is, it's impressive. It's kind of cool to be around it and see it, and it's good comp.
I know Luke on Saturday mentioned continuity being important, and I think obviously the starters have played together a lot, and maybe some of those guys who spoke about qualification, they've obviously played together a lot, which might make up a lot of the second unit. So when going through selection, did continuity come into it and guys that are familiar with each other?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because, you're hopefully sitting there picking a team where the 12 pieces are the best overall fit that you can get, right? So, so obviously the whole is bigger than the sum of the parts, or better than the sum of the parts. But I think continuity comes into that, because it just helps, right? And that's the thing when you come in the camp and you just, day one, you're looking at it and you're going, where we are offensively and defensively for first day of camp is pretty impressive, and that comes because of the core that we've had together with the Boomers, but then that ability to go through those World Cup qualifying campaigns and have I guess a broader base of players who are familiar with what we do and our concepts, both ends of the floor. And even Jock, he came on that campaign with us to Kazakhstan, and it was 3 or 4 days, but at least you had a little bit of a comfort level with what we were doing, and you're not coming in fresh. And day one, and even the players were saying, the way the ball's moving and what's happening, for day one of camps, they were thrilled. Paddy came up to me, it's wow, this is, for day one of camp, we're in a really good place, and that comes because of stability and continuity.
What has preparations been like in the lead up to the World Cup?
You're talking about all the trips overseas and stuff?
Training.
Yeah, well, as we've kind of spoken about heaps today, is this selection camp was intense, and you couldn't have gone wrong either way. I think that's one thing that all the guys did really well, is just competed and played super hard. And there was no real warm-up days, there was no real warm-up minutes in those days. As soon as we hit the floor, everyone was going 110%, and I think that's one of the reasons where we feel like we're going to be so successful, is that everyone's out there playing as hard as they can and competing for the country. And then when we went to Kazakhstan, it was more of the same. We had a little 2 or 3 day camp before the first game, and it was super competitive. So I think that's something that we're just going to keep trying to carry over, and I think that'll really help us in the long run. But that's all I can really say. Is it's just been a really competitive lead up to the World Cup, and I think that's something that you guys will see out on the floor when we finally take the floor against Canada. And Yep.
And a number of players have dropped out of Canada's team. Does that make you more confident going forward?
Do you want to take that, or is that for me?
I think the reality is we can only focus on our team and what we're doing, and prepare ourselves to be the best that we can be going in. And the opposition's the opposition. You play who you play, and But yeah, our focus is on us and being the best team that we can be.
Andrej, can I ask you about the strength of European? Just to lift your head to the World Cup once more. It seems like we're going to go through a few decent European sides. I think Lithuania, really probably France and Germany.
Yeah.
Do you see them as sort of the dark horses or quite under the radar a bit, the strength of European basketball?
So, I mean, we speak about it all the time. In order to achieve at the World Cup, you've got to beat European teams. Like, just time and again, they prove how good they are on the world stage, and they're good at basketball. Like, it's they play a style that's difficult to play against. They share the ball. They're really well drilled offensively, and they're tough. They play a physical style. They're intelligent basketball players who, again, it's like, I mean, everybody's proud to play for their country, and they have that as well too, right? They have that real pride of coming back and representing their country and showing what they can do on the world stage. I mean, Lithuania, for how many people in Lithuania? 4.5 million have not missed an Olympics or World Cup since they've regained their independence, which I think was in 1992, which was just phenomenal for a country of that size in that competitive European market to be able to continually qualify for those events is pretty spectacular. And I guess that's the other thing in through that European section. Like, there's so many quality teams. For them even to get through and qualify is a battle in itself. And so, they're quality teams, but we believe we've got a quality team too, and we look forward to getting in there and having those battles.
Andrej, you've clearly got an emotional connection with this team. Is that a secret weapon for you guys? Is that togetherness? Is that going to be 1% that could make a difference?
I think it's something certainly that makes the Boomers special. Like, it means a lot to everybody who's involved in it, and you can sense it with the group just how connected they are and how connected they are to each other. And I think what that does, it drives behaviour, right? In terms of what you're prepared to do, what you're going to do in these 5 days, what you're prepared to sacrifice time with family to make sure you're staying in shape and doing what you need to do to come in ready to Canada, to Perth to play Canada. But also it helps you through, every game, every tournament has its adversity. It has its highs and its lows. And that connection, I think, is really important in those times of adversity. That's how you find your way through together for success.
There's been a little bit of pushback against Ben since he sort of spoke out in Instagram. What have you made of that coverage?
Yeah, I mean, for me, Ben's, as you're aware, Ben's made his statement on that, and from my perspective, I support Ben and his right to express how he feels on the situation.
Did you believe he was right?
Sorry?
Do you think he was right?
I wasn't there, and again, I guess I just support Ben and his ability to express how he feels.
Is there a reason you're announcing this at Crown today, given the issue?
Sorry?
Is it funny that you're announcing the squad today at Crown, given the issue?
I think, this was always planned to be here. We've stayed here all week, and our camp was, our camp was based out of here. So I think this is where it was always going to be.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.